Welcome, everyone, to the Restless Podcast. My name's Tom, and this is episode 6 of the Restless Podcast. We would be on episode 7, but I'm a little bit behind. I missed a month. It's been a busy time, especially with the holidays and all the crazy stuff going on. Joining me today, again, is my brother Tim.
How's it going, guys?
All right, so for today's podcast, we're just going to be doing some general discussions about things. And we're going to start off with the Xbox Series X because Tim was actually able to get one. And we'll hear about his experiences and we'll go from there.
All right, guys. So, the way that it all started when the new consoles were shown and everything, I wasn't really too interested. I'm more of a PC and Switch kind of guy. But as time went on, started looking into it more and more, and I wanted to start getting more into, having an entertainment console. And I saw the Xbox Series X, the design of it, the interface, everything kind of just lined up with what it was that I was looking for. So it wasn't until after pre-orders and all that went by that I started really thinking about trying to get one. So it was probably, I think, the time that I was ready to try to get one. Um, Walmart, they did something that no other retailers have done, or are doing. They actually said, okay, at this time, we're going to be releasing consoles. So the day was, uh, or actually a couple of weeks before I got mine, they said, oh, we'll be releasing a console. I think it was on like a Tuesday at 9 a.m., but I was going to be working. So that ended up falling through, didn't work out. I think, Tommy, you attempted, right, to try to get one?
Yeah, I tried a few times. I tried on a few different occasions to get one.
Yeah. Yeah, so that didn't work out. So then I waited a bit, and Walmart came up with another date, and they said Wednesday, the 25th, 9 p.m., going to list the consoles. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. Can't wait. I was like, it's probably going to be difficult, but I got to try. 9 p.m. comes along. I go, I hit refresh, and the website's broken. And it's broken for a little bit, probably for 2 minutes. It's all jacked up, won't refresh. Finally, comes up, has add to cart, and then it's giving the errors of you can't add this item to your cart. This item's already sold out. So I'm at it and I'm refreshing and I'm so sad. I'm like, oh, I wasted all this time waiting and waiting just for this to happen. So then I go, keep refreshing, keep refreshing. I was like, something's got to give. And finally, it was probably like close to 9:20 roundabout. They ended up listing more. So finally, after refreshing, I finally see the add to cart, and the whole process was smooth with that. I think I think they purposely did it that way, where they were like, okay, it's the amount at this time, and then we'll release more, you know, probably like 20 minutes after and so on. That's what more retailers should do. So went through the whole process, ended up getting it, but it took probably like, I think it was a week and a week and a half it took to get here because they shipped it from California. I guess there were no other Series X's around, so I'd finally got it yesterday, I believe. May have been yesterday or the day before. No, I think it was yesterday. Yeah. So I love it. It's amazing.
It's been an adventure,
You're-
huh? Trying to get it, and
yeah.
then now you finally have it in your hands.
Yeah. I also want to comment, I actually had the chance to get a PS5 as well, digital edition. At that same time, at like 9:20, um, I saw a PS5 was able to be added to my cart. I didn't go through with it because that's a lot of money to spend, you
Yeah.
know? It's like, you could scalp it, but I'm not that kind of person, so.
Yeah, a lot of times I was trying to get them, and I was like, if I decide not to keep it, I'll just sell it to somebody I know for the regular price. I wouldn't try and upsell it because I'm not that kind of person. But yeah, I tried multiple times to try and get the Series X. I tried to get pre-orders on it, and I got it in my cart, and then it would error, and then took it out. The one time when I was trying to get it for you, it went into my cart, and then they it errored, and then it logged me out of my Walmart account. And then I had to go and try and log all the way back in and try again. But yeah, it's a mess. It's
Yeah,
definitely
but
difficult trying to get it.
I gotta say big ups to Walmart, especially because recently when the 3060 came out, um Best Buy is the recommended retailer from Nvidia, and Best Buy went and I can't remember if it was Best Buy or Nvidia. They said, "Okay, at 9 a.m. we're gonna release the cards." I go, I'm on Best Buy's website. 9 a.m. comes along. I don't gotta go into work until 10, and they never release the card. I go to work. I look at my phone. 10:20, they release the cards. Made absolutely no sense. They never stated the times or anything on the website. All they did was Nvidia told journalists that this is the time that it's going to be happening. The cards went up on Newegg, but I wanted a Founders Edition card. So I was waiting, and it was the worst experience, you know, so much worse than anything with Walmart. And I don't even know what Amazon's doing. Again, if you could just give a time frame and then release the consoles in intervals, that's the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, a bunch of people were saying, "Oh, well, they're giving a time that's giving bots a chance to get to it," but a lot of these bots are just set up that once they see it go in stock, they're going to automatically, put the submission in to try and get it. So it doesn't matter whether they put the time up there or not. Either way, it's giving people a better shot to try and get it. Because, like I said, either way, the bots are going to try and locate it. People have been tricking bots recently by they're putting posts on eBay for like 3060s and PS5s and stuff, and they'll put like JPEG image, and then what they're doing is they're doing it so that bots can upbid it, and then they'll end up buying it from them for like $600. So then the scalpers who are using bots are getting charged $600 for a JPEG image.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they're telling people on Reddit, like, don't buy it. This is so, to get the bots to try and trick them. So they're telling, like, regular people not to bid on it. But it's pretty crazy. It's wild out there. So,
Yeah.
how are you liking the gameplay and the graphics and everything?
So, I mean, my opinion's probably different than a lot of gamers because I almost completely skipped the previous generation. So I think I owned one PS4. Or no, I owned two PS4s now that I think about it. I had a base PS4 back in the day, and then I had the Days of Play PS4.
Oh, yeah, because
Um,
I had sold you mines for a little bit, and then you said you weren't playing it, so
right,
you sold it back to me. And then after
right.
that, you got the Days of Play
Yeah.
PS4, and then you
I
sold me
think that
that too.
yeah. I think the original PS4 that was pretty close to launch. It was probably within a year of when the PS4 had launched that um we were switching around that PS4 because that was the original one. That wasn't even a slim.
Yeah.
So yeah. So as far as the previous gen, that's all the experience that I had, and it was terrible. The menus are all laggy. Nothing felt optimized. I mean, I love the PS4's library. I think the PS4 has one of the best game libraries ever as far as games that I would be willing to play, and I still
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
say
whoa.
that to this day.
PS2 has the greatest game library.
I mean, like as far as
PS4 is a close
modern,
second.
yeah, as far as modern, and I'll comment more on that when it comes to PS5 versus Series X, but with the last generation, it just felt so clunky, and I didn't even want to attempt to dive into the pro systems or the Xbox One X. It was like, yeah, they're good mid generation refreshes, but at the same time it's like it's not doing it for me as far as the internals and everything. Just everything doesn't feel as well optimized. So now going into the Series X, I mean, there's some stuff that I missed out on the last generation that's in here, but I love it because it's so seamless, it's so smooth. The integration with my system that I have set up, where it's my TV, my sound bar. I turn on the Xbox, turns on my sound bar, turns on my TV, automatically goes to the input, happens within 5 seconds. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's good. Speaking on last generation, having the PS4 Pro, I had an Xbox One X too for a period of time, but I ended up selling it because I knew the new systems were going to be coming out, and I wanted to buy a gaming PC again because I just had I had that old Alienware for a while, so I wanted to upgrade. So I ended up selling the One X, and then I used the money to get the upgraded PC. But as far as the PS4 Pro, it's very, very unoptimized for 4K and things like that. It sounds like a jet engine when you turn it on. It's
Correct.
pretty crazy. But yeah, I need to see Spawnwave on YouTube. He made a video on how hot the PS5 gets, and I'm curious about that because the PS4 Pro gets pretty hot, and
Right, yeah, I actually watched that video.
yeah,
It's a good one.
yeah, because the fans on the PS4 itself are just crazy, so loud and just it's too much.
I don't want to go off on too many tangents. I mean, you know, it's the podcast. It's the way that we are. But, speaking on the PS5 and its thermals and everything, I just want to talk about the design of the two consoles. Honestly, I can't imagine that anyone would look at the Xbox Series X and the PS5 and think that the PS5 is a better designed console.
Yeah,
I mean, the way that the Xbox just fits into everything, it's so smooth, so seamless. And a PS5, I listen, because of that PS4 library, I would love to have a PS5. But with the way that the PS5 looks, uh, I just can't. I think that's what mainly sold the Series X to me. Was number one, I wanted to get into more entertainment stuff like Blu-rays and having more of a media center that I could do everything with.
yeah.
Where the PS5, it doesn't have the look for it, and it doesn't have the apps for it. Xbox is beating them in that category. So I don't know. I mean, what's your opinion on the design of the two consoles?
So in terms of the design of the consoles, I the PS5 is it's so big and bulky looking. I remember they used to criticize the PS3 about how big it was and how it was ridiculous. Where are we gonna fit it? What are we gonna do with it? This thing's even bigger than what the PS3 was. But the design of the Series X is so it's a perfect box shape, with the rectangular shape of it, and it can fit in media centers really easily, which was a smart design. And it almost looks like a small home theater PC or something like that. So it fits in a lot better. One of the one of the I think it was a video game news outlet. They took the Series X when they got the concept model of it. It was not a working model, but it was the concept design, and they took it into an IKEA, and they would slip it into different areas in the IKEA, and it fit with the aesthetic of the room and the
I like that.
the TV units and stuff. And they were you could tell the design is so sleek and it fits in so well. But you can't do that with a PS5. PS5 is like a boat. The one guy, his wife sold his PS5 because he told her it was a air purifier.
Yeah,
And
I
then
saw it.
yeah, and then she found out it was a PS5 and she sold it. But the funny thing is, I saw air purifier today, and it was the same colors and like design as the PS5, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I could see him trying to pull that off."
Oh, did you see that the middle of it is glossy plastic
Oh yeah,
and it just gets scratched so easily? I was like, oh, why would they do that? It's like such a bad design.
yeah, and it's messed up too because Sony, there was this company they were gonna release the side panels, like custom side panels, and then Sony put like a thing out to stop them from doing it, and they were like, and people are thinking like Sony's gonna try and do that, but if they don't, then it's like they just stop these people from having such a great idea, and they might have sold more consoles with people knowing they can customize it easily.
Right. And I don't know if you've seen the teardown videos of the two consoles, but as far as the internal design as well, I mean, Xbox has Sony beat completely on it.
Yeah, the layout is so great with the way they stacked everything, the design of it. It's so good. One thing I'll say about the Series X, just be careful with like the HDMI port because you know the video game store Classic Game Junkie, it's not too far away from me. They already had to replace an HDMI port for somebody, and they were like because there's no spare parts for it, they had to use one from a Xbox One, but because they had to do that, they had to like Dremel the casing in the back of the Series X. So like the
Oh, really?
customer was happy because they were able to still use it because they just swapped the HDMI on it, but they did have to make like a case modification just to replace the HDMI. But I have a feeling it was probably like a user error thing. Like they were too aggressive with it or something and they probably broke it. So that's just one thing
Right.
to, take note of just to be careful
Oh,
with it.
so one thing that I want to comment on that again, more tangents, all the time, me and you, we're the tangent,
That's most
brothers.
podcasts. I listen to a lot of
Yeah.
podcasts and there's always a tangent.
Yeah. So I want to go into the expandable storage and how people keep criticizing Microsoft for their expandable storage, which as much as you would pay for a PCIe Gen 4x4 NVMe drive,
Hmm.
it's almost the same price. Uh, I just got a 1 terabyte. It was $200 for the new what is it, Rocket 4 Plus by Sabrin, and the Samsung drive, the 980 Evo, goes for 230. The Western Digital Black, I think it's 850. That goes for 230. So the pricing, it's about where it should be. People are gonna love to complain, but then people bring up the fact that the PS5 has a slot where you can put an NVMe drive inside of the console. But the thing is, that's not working right now. So people are trying to criticize Microsoft on something that Sony hasn't even enabled yet on their console. It's like, yeah, in the same fashion that um, you know, Microsoft only has the one drive, you don't have any drive with the PS5 right now, the expandable drive. Whereas we don't know if new drives are going to be coming out for the Xbox, and also we don't know when Sony's going to enable the expandable drive. So it's kind of like a moot point that people bring up, and it kind of gets on my nerves a little bit because it's like, why are you discussing this as if it's a negative for the Xbox when there's literally no competition in that category for it?
Yeah, another thing I'll put out there is you can still use a regular external hard drive with the Xbox, and it works fine for Xbox and Xbox 360 games. And they said it works at a perfectly good speed. Like it's nothing too crazy, but I mean it works out fine. You can still play your games without a problem. And then if you want to play the Series X games, then you use the expandable storage for that, the Seagate slot. But also, there's not a ton of Series X games out right now. So, what's wrong with just getting a regular external hard drive for now and then just playing
Right.
your Xbox One and Xbox games and Xbox 360 games off of that. And then once more exclusives and things come out, then you could just buy a expansion after that. And also, people talk about the PS5's exclusives. Honestly, all they have right now is Demon Souls. Miles Morales is on PS4. It's not exclusive to the PS5. And also, it's not like a very long game either. It's more like an expansion type title. So, people need to stop with, well, Sony has exclusives. This is coming from somebody who loves Sony products. I love the PlayStation. I love the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. They're two of my favorite consoles of all time. But people really need to calm down. And the thing that would have sold me on the PS5, no matter how big it is or anything like that, is if they would have made it completely backwards compatible. I would have been sold instantly if that would have happened. But because they decided not to do that, that really swayed me more towards Xbox because there's old Xbox games that I like. I love the Gears of War series. I love the Halo series. So I just get one system and I could play all those games without a problem. So, I mean, they each made their own decisions, and I feel like some of Xbox's decisions are a little bit better. And once their exclusives come out, I think it's going to really be competitive.
Right. And I got to give Sony props, because I've been bagging on them and I'm sure, if any people hear this podcast, they might think that I'm fanboying a bit for Xbox, but as far as games, I would love to get a PS5, but at the same time, at the price and at uh, you know, the fact that you can't really get them right now, I don't really have that fear of missing out with PlayStation. Any game that I want to play, I feel like I can wait until the console becomes more available or drops a bit in price or maybe even a slim model comes out. Like I can wait because even though I'd love to play Last of Us 2 and what else? What else? Shenmue 3, there's so many games that I was looking into to see if I could get them on Xbox and I wasn't able to from the last gen.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Ghost of
Oh, Final
Tsushima,
Fantasy
great game.
7. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. It's like these are games that I would love to play, but at the same time, I don't feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I can play these games, maybe a year from now and, enjoy it just as much. But the fact that the PS5 is in the state that it's in right now with its build and the fact that the Xbox is just overall better entertainment center, it's like I had to go with the Xbox. I love the PS5 for its backwards compatibility with PS4, like you said. I wish it would have gone further with it, and we'll see. Maybe, um, I mean, PlayStation Now is something that's, up in the air, a possibility that it might get better, might expand. But at the moment, I could not see myself spending $500 on a PS5.
Yeah, something else that came out with the Xbox that I think is something that's going to help it sell in the long run, even the Series S, is that whole developer mode that allows you to put RetroArch on the system
Right.
and lets you play a bunch of retro consoles and retro games. I think that's a big thing, especially because it's just $20. You just pay $20 one time to be able to enable developer mode, and then at that point you have free reign to just put whatever classic games you want on it. They're even saying that there's people pushing it to put GameCube games and also PS2, and they were like, that would be crazy if the Xbox has backwards compatibility for PlayStation and PlayStation 2, but the PS5 doesn't. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a factor it's something that's going to factor in when people are looking at the system. I mean, people like us who are pretty tech savvy and have worked with emulators and things like that in the past. So I think that's something to real people like us. And it was a good
Right.
good
And
idea.
And with that, I do want to comment again on something that you brought up earlier with the Xbox Series X being like a gaming PC. You know, you were like, oh, it's like a home media, or what is it called? It's like a home theater PC.
Yeah.
So I was looking at it and I was, admiring it. I was like, wow, this is a great piece of technology. And I was looking at my PC because I have a mini ITX build, and the Xbox is so much smaller than my mini ITX build is. I probably could try to crunch it down more, but then when you think about it, and you think about how unoptimized it would be if I were to make a really tiny mini ITX build, it's like you don't have to worry about that with Xbox. So with my PC, I'm always thinking about, oh, what are my thermals like and everything, and I'm able to keep it pretty cool, but with the amount of money that I sank into it and everything, it's like I honestly think that Microsoft is selling the Series X at a loss for the way that it's built and everything,
Hmm.
the time and development. So I think that it's a worthy investment. I mean, I look at my gaming PC, I look at the Series X, and it's like, am I really that sad that I missed out on the RTX cards? Now that I have a Series X, not that much. It's like I'm not really missing out too much.
Yeah, I feel like with the Series X, you get a pretty stable gaming experience in 4K and 1440p. Oh, that's another thing that Xbox has over the PlayStation is the 1440p capability. PS5 doesn't allow you to do that. You're just restricted to 4K and that's it. So you can't run
Oh, okay.
1440p. So like if we have the Samsung Odyssey G5 monitor, both of us, if we want to play the Xbox on it, we could play it without an issue. If you want to play a PS5 on it, you would have to downscale it to 1080p, and you won't be able to
Oh,
use the
I did not know
1440p
that.
function. Yeah, they only have a 4K function. Now that can change in the future with firmware, but that's going to be up to Sony if they want to just restrict it to 4K and 8K, or if they want to allow 1440p in. A move that I think Microsoft would have been smart to make. Um, you know how with Mixer in the past they stopped it, and then they decided to partner with Facebook for Facebook Gaming. And one of the reasons they did that was for the Series X, and for they said it would be pretty seamless with the way they would implement everything. Um, Something I think they should do, which would be smart, is partnering with Facebook to create a VR experience because Facebook owns Oculus. And I think that would be something that would help push them uh, ahead, and if not ahead, right up against where Sony's at in terms of the market for video games. Because one of the big things that Sony sells is VR. It's not as good as Oculus and the Vive, but it's still the leading way for people to play VR right now. So I think that would be smart if Microsoft got in on that.
Right, I definitely buy into that because I've seen the ads for the Oculus Rift 2, and it's tempting, but at the same time, it just feels like it's too disconnected of an experience from anything. It's like if I buy it, okay, I'm just buying the Oculus, and it's like, is it really a game console and everything in itself? I mean, I gotta look more into it. I had an Oculus Rift S, and it was terrible. It didn't work at all with my AMD card. I have a 5600 XT currently, and it just did not play along. And if there's one thing that Microsoft has been able to do, it's to integrate things extremely well. Again, for me, it's all about optimization, and Microsoft is pulling it off perfectly.
Yeah, and the thing with all that is, the Series X is really like a mini PC. Um, Xbox's operating system is Windows 10. It's a modified version of Windows 10. If you think, like, let's say Facebook's Oculus group focuses on optimizing a VR headset for the Series X. You don't have to worry about compatibility because it's just going to work with the Series X. You have no issues. Just plug it into the USB port. Maybe have like a USB out that goes into a breakout box, and then you can plug all your adapters into it. That's how the PlayStation VR works right now, where it goes into a breakout box, which has an extra HDMI ports and extra USBs on it for the VR headset. So you can do something similar with the Series X, um, and then implement like an Oculus Rift or like an Oculus Rift X, and then you do something like that, and it'll all work together seamlessly, and you'll have something that competes with PlayStation VR. It might actually be better because Oculus has been trying to improve their hardware and make things, work a lot better. Um, and then you don't have to worry about, having a Facebook account to sign in for it like they did with,
Right.
I think it was the Quest or Quest 2, Oculus Quest.
Right, right. I think I might have called it the Oculus Rift 2, but yeah, it's the Oculus Quest 2 that's
Yeah.
out right now.
Yeah, so I think there's potential for Microsoft and to make a move, and Facebook can make a lot of money off of this too. I think it would just be a smart decision on their part. And then speaking of like advances and things, I don't know if you've been hearing about all the PS5. They're already talking about a pro version of that. There's rumors going around of like
Yeah, it's
yeah.
completely unfounded. It's like some of the craziest stuff.
And then they're saying, oh, they'll come out with a PSP 5 or something like that.
Yeah, PSP 5G.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, I would love a new
people are gonna make
PSP. I
up
love the
rumors.
PSPs, but I don't know about that
Yeah,
one.
it's some people they're not happy about having a new console, so they'll make a rumor to try to justify, oh, well, you're buying this, but this is coming along soon. So,
Yeah. But now one thing that might actually be coming along is the Switch Pro.
right.
Switch Pro system. I would
You
love
can
if
only hope.
what was that?
I said you can only hope because
Yeah.
with Nintendo, what we know about waiting with Nintendo. It's-
It'll be 2022 by the time it comes out.
right.
We'll have three more COVID-19s, new
Yeah.
strains, and there'll be all sorts of things going on by the time they release it. But I think it would be cool if it was just like a set-top box or something strictly for the TV, because you already have a Switch Lite. If people want to play games on the go, they could just take that with them, and then have something that's strictly for 4K or 1440p or whatever resolution you want to go for that's higher than 1080, which right now they're not even technically at 1080. They're at like 720p upscaled. Which is why
Yeah.
so many developers have issues still developing for the Switch, because Nintendo never learned their lesson of like, let's give people better options for developing games for us. That's why it's mainly first party games all the time for Nintendo, because they're the only ones that know how to develop for it.
Yeah, they do need a mid-gen refresh like desperately because I was trying to play my Switch and honestly the experience just wasn't the same. It feels like a 2016 experience or 2017. It's like not as cracked up as what it used to be. I mean, just if the screens were better, it, I guess especially comparing it to the current gen consoles, the Series X and the PS5, it's just not there.
Yeah, I think Nintendo has some work to do. And then one of the things I was going to talk about, speaking of Nintendo, is like there's issues with them supporting their communities with certain games. Like there's a big issue with the Super Smash Brothers community where there was gonna be a tournament. I think it's called Big House, and they were gonna have Melee at the tournament, and they were gonna be using Slippy. I don't know if you've ever have you heard of Slippy before.
What, Slippy the Toad?
it That's where the name comes from, but it's a rollback netcode for Melee. So you
Ah,
can have the
okay.
Dolphin emulator and you can play Smash Bros online against people around the world. And the net play is like perfect. It's like seamless. It feels like you're sitting next to the person and playing against them. Like it's 10 times better than Ultimate's online play. But so it was going to be at the tournament because they've been having tournaments with Slippy recently, but Big House is like a big name tournament. And then Nintendo put a cease and desist out for them and told them that they can't have Melee with Slippy at the tournament. And there was a big uproar about it because Nintendo was trying to say, "Oh, they're using illegal versions of the game in order to play Slippy," and this, and that, and which the real issue is they're mad that it's a modded version of the game and it's better than what they have. But of course they're not going
Okay.
to say that. And also it feels like they've been trying to kill Smash Bros like, competitive play for a long time. They don't really support it at all. Like they're not deliberately fighting against it, but they're not doing anything to help it either. So there's been a big uproar about it, and a lot of people aren't happy. There's a hashtag going out called Save Melee and or Free Melee Save Smash Bros. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's getting pretty widespread. Like there's even like boxers and like famous people using the hashtag because they heard about what happened. They're like, "What the heck, Nintendo? Like, what are you doing?" So then it came
Yeah.
out today. On top of that, today or yesterday, there was a Splatoon tournament that was supposed to go on, and people were like, Nintendo usually they focus all their esports support on Splatoon and like Arms, and Arms, the greatest fighting game, um,
Right.
everyone's favorite, Min Min, everyone's favorite. Um, so they always put focus on that in terms of esports, but this tournament that was supposed to be live streamed the other day, Nintendo canceled the live stream that they were going to show of Splatoon because people were allowed to pick their names for the tournament, for the finals, and a bunch of people had like Free Melee and Save Super Smash Bros. As their names. And Nintendo didn't like that, so they canceled the live stream. So now people are like, "What the heck, Nintendo?" Like, Nintendo's just being really shady right now, and a lot of people aren't too happy about it.
Yeah, I mean that's always the way that Nintendo is, and then they'll go and they'll do something that makes people love them, and you know, it'll be back and forth with it. And honestly, you know, until they do that Switch Pro or whatever it is, I'm not really concerned too much with Nintendo. Probably except for when Shin Megami Tensei comes out, because I'm definitely gonna get that.
Yeah,
So aside from that, I can't really comment on too much with the Switch because there's not really too much to comment on.
yeah. I think it's I don't really play my Switch that much. Um, I play Smash Bros. Once in a while. I'll play Mario Kart. And it's mainly because I know people that play it, and they're in other parts of the U.S. So for us to play, we just play that. Not everybody has a gaming PC or a PS4 or Xbox. Usually everybody's on different systems, but most people have a Switch because it's pretty inexpensive compared to everything else. So that's one thing everybody is able to get on there and play. Um,
Yeah, but it would be amazing if they had a way to communicate with people. That's one of the things that I despise about the Switch is the fact that I'll make friends on the Switch only to never be able to get into contact with them or never do anything. It's like, oh, well, how do I let this person know, oh, I want to play or, if they're available or something? Literally, absolutely no way to do it unless you jump through a bunch of hoops and you call them on the Splatoon Nintendo call app or whatever. It's so sad because there's so much potential behind it, but again, you can't do anything with it. It's just so locked down. And I understand that they have to do that because it's a console with kids playing and everything. But at the same time, at least give us something, maybe like a option to download the Discord app, something like that. I mean, anything.
Yeah. Yeah, Nintendo, it seems like I think one of the issues with Nintendo right now is they know the Switch is selling. No matter what, they're like, keep selling out of consoles, keep selling out of consoles. So they're like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they just leave it and they just ride it out and they don't change anything. And then people like start giving up at a certain point where they stop asking about like the new Metroid game or the new Bayonetta game. So then Nintendo just keeps quiet and they don't say anything. And I feel like Nintendo's the type, they like to manipulate their fans a lot, and I think that's one of the issues. They make great games. Okay, they used to represent such a family oriented type environment, but now they're doing such shady practices that it's making people not very happy with them. And then like still with their limited time releases for some games too, it's crazy. Like Mario 3D All Stars, and there's a Fire Emblem game that came out, and that's a limited release also. So now it'll be on the online store for a period of time, and then they'll get rid of it. It's like, why? What's the point? And then the Fire Emblem game is only like a couple megabytes. It's not that big because it was the first Fire Emblem game that was on like NES, and they're releasing it. They're putting it up for a limited time. It's not taking up that much space. Why are you gonna get rid of it and not let people download it anymore?
You know what? And I might buy into that. You see, I'm the reason why Nintendo does bad stuff because I buy into their crap that they put out.
Yeah, it's like $4. It's not an expensive game. It's pretty
Okay.
inexpensive. But and then they did a collector's pack for it, right? And it sold out like instantly. Like bots got to it and everything. I was like, what is going on? And then they were like, oh no, we're not doing any physical releases or anything. The only thing you get from the collector's edition is like collector's merch, but you don't get like a physical game.
Hmm.
But I was like, whatever. But yeah, Nintendo's weird. They've been really weird with the stuff they've been doing. Oh yeah, HBO Max. The gods.
Right. HBO
The
Max.
gods. They said, you know what? We don't need movie theaters. We're just gonna release everything on HBO Max. It's really
Warner
AT&T,
Brothers.
because AT&T
Yeah.
owns Warner Brothers and HBO and all of them. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's cool too because they're not. It's not strictly just HBO Max. They're gonna release it in movie theaters still, but they're also releasing it on HBO Max. Like they're not doing the Disney move where they're charging like $30 to see Mulan, even though you have the app and you pay a monthly fee. Like that doesn't make sense. But they made the right decision. I want to see the Matrix 4. I like the Matrix.
Well, the PS5 doesn't have an HBO Max app, but the Xbox Series X does.
Look, deciding factor.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be sampling out
Telling you.
HBO Max during Christmas time to see Wonder Woman. I got a free like 15 days. It was actually
Oh,
because one of the 4K Blu-rays I bought you, um it gave me a free HBO Max in my email. They sent it to me. It was actually
okay.
Best Buy sent it to me for buying one of the movies that I bought. And even with me saying that, you still don't know what I got you for Christmas.
Yep, I'm lost.
Yeah, but the one thing that with AT&T now, they've been buying like everything, and they bought Warner Brothers, and they're kind of and Warner Brothers owns DC Comics, so DC's streaming service got wiped out and got absorbed by HBO Max, which is like, okay, that's fine. But then for DC Comics, they just started firing people, like Like, most of the people that worked there were just getting fired. And then they stopped the DC Collectibles line, which I wasn't happy about. And they just changed so much, and it kind of made me upset. I was just gonna like record myself ranting about it one day because I was just like so upset about it. Like, it's okay. Change is fine. But when it's like drastic change and it's some change that doesn't need to be made and it's by a company that knows nothing about comic books, that's when it hurts.
Yeah.
Like, they just started getting rid of people. Supposedly they're going to be getting rid of like a bunch of comic book series, and they're going to like streamline it to like just like Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and then like a Justice League book. And then like have maybe a couple other books, and that's it. But that kind of stinks. It just narrows things down. It gives less work to comic book artists and writers too, which is kind of crappy. But I guess we'll just see how it goes as time goes on. But I wasn't happy with the initial way that they did things. Oh, and also with HBO Max, the one movie that's not on there that I'm not happy about is Batman. The Batman
With
movie,
Batman.
the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, Twilight guy.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's not. It's not on there to be released on HBO Max. It looks like they might do that one as just a theatrical release. So I'm kind of disappointed about that because that's one of the movies I really wanted to see, and of course that's one that's not on there. Unless maybe they delayed it and it's not coming out in 2021 anymore, and they're not telling anybody yet. That could be another thing. Because it was slated for 2021, but they might have changed their mind. Especially with COVID and stuff. I think Robert Pattinson ended up getting COVID. And he was like out and couldn't record scenes for a while.
Rest in peace, Robert Pattinson.
R.I.P. Last role, Batman. And then they have to superimpose his face on all the characters.
Yeah, like with what was that? Was that Superman? Oh, with the mustache or
Yeah,
whatever.
oh no, that was
Yeah.
so bad. Is in the Justice League movie. His face is so deformed looking. Oh, it's so horrible. It's brutal. Yeah, but one of the last things I want to talk about is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. It came out in November. A couple people on the Discord I'm in, they were curious about what I thought about it. Some of them didn't read it yet. I don't know if you've heard. Well, you heard about The Last Ronin because you heard me talk about it.
Right, right.
But the first issue is very good. It lures you in. It gives you like a Dark Knight Returns kind of feel, which is a Batman movie. I mean, Batman comic book from back in the day by Frank Miller. Very dark, gritty. It leaves you in mystery in the beginning because you don't know who the last turtle is, and you're kind of trying to piece together what happened, and like what happened to the other turtles. Because in the end, there's only one, and the other three ended up passing away. They ended up dying in battle. And yeah, I found the story very good. It sucks you in. It keeps you reading. One of the interesting things is they started with one artist, and then they ended up having to change because they didn't like how the art fit with the story. So that's one of the reasons it ended up getting delayed in the beginning. But the art that's with it now is very nice, very gritty. There's a lot of throwbacks to classic Ninja Turtle content, and I mean, I really appreciate it. By the end, there's an inkling of who the surviving turtle is. So I won't say it on here because I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, it's been out for a couple months, but it also sold out, so a lot of people didn't get their hands on it. So they would either have to buy it digitally or try and get one online. And just a regular non-variant issue was going for like $30 for like a first print.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if it was available digitally. So where do you buy comics digitally usually?
I do Amazon, like through Kindle. Kindle and Comixology are mixed together, but usually I'll buy it through the Amazon website because sometimes if you buy things through Comixology, you can't read them on your Kindle. You can only read them on the Comixology app on your phone. So I buy directly through Amazon's Kindle store. And I actually bought a digital copy too because my physical copies I didn't want to mess them up because I'm a collector, so I'm very nitpicky when it comes to my comics. So yeah, but it's a great book. I would recommend if you picked it up. It's like $8.99. It's only a 5 issue run, I believe. So it's not too long of a read. Um, each book is a good size. They're thicker than a regular comic book. They're more like mini trade paperbacks. Um, but yeah, it's a great read. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend to people follow the series and give it your support. One of the issues IDW had though, they're the publisher for Ninja Turtles. They they printed too little of the comic books. So that's why it sold out so fast. I got lucky because I pre-ordered. I actually pre-ordered multiple variants too, so I got lucky on that part too. I actually have one coming from Canada. It's I like I pre-ordered it during when lockdown was going on, and originally it was supposed to come out in August, the book, and it got delayed all the way until November because of everything that was going on. But it's finally coming from Canada. It's supposed to get here next week and signed and has a remark, which is like artwork drawn on it from the artist. It's a very nice cover. But yeah, highly recommend. Good read. Um, if you can get your hands on it on a physical copy, try and get it. If not, get a digital copy. Second prints are supposed to be coming out in, I think December. So this month, second prints are supposed to be coming out. So I pre-ordered a second print too because it's a different style of cover. But yeah, you should give it a read.
Yeah, definitely. I'll look into it.
Yeah, and then oh, one thing we should talk about is Pokemon cards. That's been a big thing now. It's a resurgence in Pokemon card
Right.
collecting. That's do you still have any of the cards I gave you or the ones you were collecting?
Uh, I mean, no, I think I sold basically most of them.
Mhm.
It was when I was moving, it was something that I could have brought along with me, but at the same time, it was kind of difficult just because of the amount that I had. So I ended up selling almost my entire collection all at once. I mean, probably, I don't know, thinking about the price that I sold it for, it's probably worth like 25% more now that this resurgence is happening.
Mhm.
So I should have held on to them, but at the same time, I mean, it's such a it's fun to get into when it's you know what? It reminds me a lot of retro video games.
Mhm.
It's fun to get into when people aren't ruining it.
Yep.
So, collecting trading cards and Pokemon cards were my favorite, especially Wizards of the Coast cards, the originals up to I think it was 2004 maybe that Wizards of the Coast stopped making Pokemon cards.
Mhm.
So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have them, but it was a hobby that I enjoyed so, so much, and I would definitely get back into, but not right now because, people are just um, overplaying it way too much. It's like, it's kind of sad, honestly, because there's so much potential for people, or there was so much potential for people to get cards that they love. A lot of the series that were difficult to find, the prices were, you know, for instance, the Shining cards.
Mhm.
Uh, I want to look into it actually because um, I think it was for me to place it exactly, but they had the different Shining cards. So they had Shining Charizard, Shining Mewtwo, Shining Raichu, and Shining Celebi. So I had Shining Celebi and Shining Raichu, and they're just awesome cards. But at the same time, they weren't going for as much as I think they are now. Let me look into it actually. Oh yeah, definitely a big change in the price. Um, when I was into collecting, it probably was like what, a year and a half ago. These cards I was able to pick them up for like 50 to 60, and that was lightly played, probably like somewhere between 60 and 80. Now if you want to lightly played, you're going to be paying like 150 and over.
Yeah.
So again, it's just so difficult that people ruin these hobbies by making it just based off of who has the most money as opposed to, you know, who can hunt properly and everything.
Yeah.
Now that more information is out there and people think that their cards are worth more, it's a completely different scene.
Yeah, it's like that with anything. It's like that with comic books too. Like I was looking into buying Ninja Turtle comic books because I've been trying to collect them for a while. I wanted the first issue. I wanted a third print, and for a period of time, it was going for like 250. And I was like, oh, that's a bit much. Maybe if I save some money, I'll pick it up. Now it's going for like $500-$600. It just shot up in price. Mind you, that was like a year ago. I was looking, and it was 250. But because the last Ronin came out, they announced a new Ninja Turtle in the series. Like around last year, Jenica, who's a like female turtle. It was a female ninja. She was part of the Foot Clan. She becomes a good guy, and then she ends up almost dying. They kind of do like a blood transfusion, and she becomes a turtle because of the mutant blood from the turtles. So all this happens. Now there's like a resurgence in Ninja Turtle stuff. All the Ninja Turtle stuff is like super expensive. I did get lucky and I found a guy on Mercari, and he sold me Raphael #1, the second print, and the fourth print of Ninja Turtles #1, and he sold it to me for like $100, and so I got lucky there. But still, it's a fourth print. Honestly, I like the fourth print cover more than the original first, second, third print cover because all those covers are the same. But I'm like, it's crazy how much the prices have changed, and I know even my fourth print is probably gonna shoot up and be like worth like $400 or something crazy. Kevin Eastman, one of the creators of Ninja Turtles, is actually doing a signing through CGC, so I might try and get it signed and graded. It'll bring the value up a little bit, and it'll look nicer on my shelf. But it's definitely like collecting is so hard nowadays because once something gets big, it just blows up and the prices go crazy. Like I was looking at the base set 2 Charizard that I have, and even at like a 9, if it's graded like a 9, I think it was like, what was it, like $900 or something like that, and I was like, what? That's ridiculous. That's crazy. Like I could never imagine it being worth that much money. Like, and you know me, when I was collecting when we were younger, I would just buy the cards and I put them right in my little binder. But like,
Right.
to think that some of the cards are where they are at right now is just crazy. I was watching they unboxed a jungle set, first edition, and like the Pikachu from the jungle set is going for like, I think $500 for a 10 grade. I was like, what? For a Pikachu card? A regular Pikachu card? $500. I think the EV is like almost 400. It's like 380 or something like that for a Gem 10. I was like, oh, these prices are crazy. I would have never imagined.
Yeah.
But now I got to fish out my Pokemon cards from the storage unit because I need to put them in a new binder anyway. So that's gonna be my goal. Maybe tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. Like Dad's getting into Pokemon cards again too. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
funny. He's not a part of the internet either, and somehow he falls upon the trends that are going on. Like, it
You
doesn't make
know,
any sense.
eBay has been pushing it a lot though. I noticed a lot of times I would get the ads up top, and it's kind of based off of what you're searching for. So like I'm big into watches, so they'll say, "Oh, buy these Rolexes," which, isn't going to happen. But there was like, "Oh, buy these Rolexes, buy this Gem Mint 10 Charizard," and they have the little ads that go by, so eBay's into it.
Oh, did you see the Gem Mint 10 Shadowless Charizard that's estimated $500,000?
I did not.
Yes. It got appraised by two grading companies, and they both gave it a 10 out of 10. And they're appraising it at $500,000. Who? Who is going to buy that? I want to see the crazy rich person that buys that. Like, at that point, you just have money to, like, just throw on anything. So crazy. Like, I can understand something maybe with a little bit more history behind it. Like, that's the only reason I can understand some comic books going for so much money. Like, maybe like an Amazing Fantasy 15 that has like it's the first appearance of Spider-Man. So that kind of makes sense because it's so old. There's not that many of them. A lot of them got destroyed, and it's the first appearance of an icon, like a very prominent superhero, and somebody that like is within culture. Charizard is a Charizard. Like, and it's from the 90s. It's not that long ago, and you can find them. But just because it's a Gem 10, like, who cares if your corner isn't perfectly crisp? Like, I guess too, as being a collector, like I've gotten to the point where there was a comic book collector that said a low grade is better than no grade. So like you're better to have something that's a little bit lower quality than to not have it at all, or to see it and then like you have to, if you really want it, you got to spend tons of money on it. Like at least you have it. That's how my mindset has been in terms of collecting recently. But 500,000 Gem Mint 10. Look, Tim, we gotta go. We gotta do group buys for these first edition base set Pokemon cards.
It's insane.
$60,000 for an uncracked box with a chance that it's filled with fakes.
It's funny because in all honesty, I don't really find base set to be too crazy. I mean, the Charizard's great, and Blastoise, and Venusaur, and Zapdos, and Mewtwo, but I mean, honestly, I think that the later sets are probably better. I mean, in all honesty, I like the Rocket set, which
I
was
was
what I
gonna
think that
say
was the
that.
third set. Yeah, the Rocket set, and then like the gold and silver ones, like Neo Destiny and all those.
Yeah.
I think those are probably the ones to go for. But people love their base set.
I have those original Japanese um gold and silver cards, like the original Typhlosion and for
For
Alligator.
Alligator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have all those still. And I wonder what they're looking like now. I got those from a flea market back in the day. Never forget that. I was like, "Oh, Japanese cards." They were like, "Oh yeah, we have like somebody that ships stuff from Japan." And then like I think mom got it for me, and still got it. We'll see what it looks like. Yeah, but I like the rocket cards. I like the art on them.
Yeah,
I like the art
definitely.
better than the base set art. Yeah, but I think we're done with the podcast for tonight. That was a good one. We had some good topics, some good
Do you have what
information.
the do you have what the length is of it? It feels like we were here for hours.
Yeah, we were here for an hour and
Oh, okay,
5 minutes
decent.
right now. So,
I honestly don't know how I spend so much time at work.
look, I do 12-hour shifts sometimes, and I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm like, I'm done. I have to wake up super early this week. I have to do I've been doing audio work recently within the casino. So I have to go in at 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm gonna die. So it was nice knowing everybody. Um, Thank you for listening to this podcast. There may not be another one if I don't survive this week of work. But yeah, this was a good one. Everybody have a good one, and we'll see you next time for episode 7. Hopefully, we're actually on time for the next episode. Um,
Yep, we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. See you guys.